Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. एक द्वि त्रि क्षणेषु एवं विकल्पस्य निरोधनम्. One starts somewhere and one starts in small increments of 1, 2, 3 moments of being able to observe what? The presence and the absence of thoughts. Chit is not something to observe, it is you. What you can observe is that there is nothing to observe. When there is nothing to observe, you as Brahman shine. That awareness is you. That awareness is Brahman. That's why here the word ikshyate is not used. Ikshyate means is seen. Brahman is not seen. Neither seer nor seen. Both seer and seen without being either. That is what Brahman is. And so therefore, this is what is called a kind of a contemplation, meditation, to get comfortable with the person who is the wielder of thoughts. If you are having the thoughts, then you should be free to have them and not have them, correct? Yeah, but that's not how it works. Thoughts have you. You don't have the thoughts. Thoughts have you in their fist. Thoughts have you enslaved. Thoughts have you dancing to their tunes. And therefore, this is a very nice interruption to that. And the Acharya, knowing the human mind, says, start gradually. One moment meditation. Anybody can do. You don't have to be an adept yogi or an experienced meditator, nothing. You just be with yourself for 1 minute and then, increase it gradually. Kramena, what does it say? Kramena abhyasyatam. May one practice. And in terms of the illustration we had in the earlier class, it would mean extending the space between one Om Namah Shivaya and another. I did that a little bit, if you were watching. I don't know if you noticed. Like how long to pay attention? When is the next Om Namah Shivaya coming? So that is how to do it. Kramena abhyasyatam. The question is why? Why should I do this? What will happen if I do this? And then of course the other things, little bit of housekeeping also we talked about in terms of the happy vrittis, hijacking the meditation, or sad vrittis hijacking the meditation. Both of those things we talked about. And so why should we do this? What is the whole point of this? Is, kramena abhyasyatam. Why? Yatnat, with effort. Who is the one who should do this? Brahmanubhava kankshibhihi. The ones who have akanksha, desire to understand Brahman. May the students of Brahman, and here Anubhava, please do not translate as what? Thank you. Please don't translate it as experience. How do you know it's experience? Because you have quietly already translated it as that. That's how, so quickly you are able to tell. So please do not translate it as experience, because if then already the orientation is that Brahman is yet one more experience to be had. So chocolate cake experience, ice cream experience, heaven experience, so many experiences. And then one more experience I want to have before I die, and what is that? Brahman experience. This is a setup for failure. This is a setup for total and utter disaster. Why? For many reasons. First of all, this will never come true. Your special Brahman experience will never come, because in every experience Brahman is yelling, as it were, I'm here, I'm here. I am of the nature of experience. See me, look at me. Without me there is no experience, no experiencer, no means of experience. First reason. Second reason is that if Brahman becomes one more experience, then it will also become like any other thing in the world, finite, limited, bound. Therefore, Brahman cannot be an experience, a special experience. No matter how special, an experience by definition is that which begins and ends. And so, this cannot be used for Brahman. So, even though the word Anubhava is here, we have to see it as not translate it as experience, but the desire to assimilate, the desire to, quote unquote, be one with Brahman. The desire to, quote unquote, be Brahman is what is talked about here. And for whom? For the person who doesn't know one is already Brahman. So sad, no? Yeah. So, then the next two verses are very interesting. We'll chant them together and then we'll look at them. Savikalpa-jivoyam Brahma tannirvikalpakam Aham brahmeti vakyena Soyam artho bhidhiyate Savikalpa jivoyam Brahma tannirvikalpakam Aham brahmeti vakyena Soyam artho bhidhiyate Savikalpaka chidyoham Brahmaikam nirvikalpakam Svatasiddha vikalpaste Nirodhavyah prayatnatah Savikalpaka chidyoham Brahmaikam nirvikalpakam Svatasiddha vikalpaste Nirodhavyah prayatnatah The two orders of reality we have talked about. Vyavaharikam, Sat, which is what? The everyday experiential reality that is experienced. transactional, and also has another name, a technical name, mithya. Mithya bhuta reality. Mithya means what? A dependent reality, that which is dependent on Sat, mithya. Adhishthana ananyat mithya. This is as I said, it's a reality word. Mithya means a dependent reality. Dependent on what? Dependent on Sat, on Brahman, of course. What else is there to depend on? This is what is called mithya. Because it doesn't have a leg to stand on by itself. And it is neither here nor there, neither existent nor non-existent, somewhere in between. These two definitions of mithya we have seen. What about Sat? That is Paramarthikam Sat. It is absolute. It also has two definitions. Trikalepi tishtati iti Sat. That which is unchanging in past, present, future. In all three periods of time, it is the same. One definition. Another definition of Sat, Abadhitam Sat. Abadhitam means non-negatable. What you cannot negate, what will not go away even if you try to make it go away, that is Sat, and that happens to be you. What do you mean, what will not go away? It will not go away. The one, absence of thoughts, yes, but not absence of Sat-Chit. In fact, because Sat is present, you can look at the absence of thoughts, absence of so many things. But the presence of this Sat, which is I. That's why the I is known as Alupta Drik, seer without eyelids, the one that never goes to sleep, never even blinks. This is Sat. And then Mithya. If these two orders of reality were the only orders of reality, then our lives would not be so complicated. Life gets complicated because there is a third order of reality. What is that called? Pratibhasikam. A personal, private reality of dejected projections, one can say. Fanciful projections, rejected projections, personal projections. This is what we have seen. That is why the vikalpas, which are differences in the world, in the jagat that I see and contact and relate to, become dvaita and fearful when they enter the mind. They become dvaita. Fearful, frightening, saddening, maddening. Why? Because they have entered the head, so to speak, which is the fertile ground for pratibhasika. Pratibhasika means I see it, and because I see it, it must be there. This is what seeps into the world of interpersonal relationships, making them extremely complicated. One is convinced that somebody does not like them. One has made up the mind. Such and such a person doesn't like me at all. How do you know? I know, trust me. They look at me funny. I know. How do you know? Oh, I've known this person for a long time, they are like that only. I don't know why in Indian English we always put one only at the end. Yeah, like that only. I suppose it's a, translation from Sanskrit. Iti eva. Like this only. And then we have made our conclusion. Signed, sealed and, published. We have published it. Hit the button, publish. Not just save, publish. Yeah, this is what it is. And there is really very little fact. They made a face. They may have made a face for many reasons. Many reasons. Pujya Swamiji once saved a marriage because the woman was convinced that her husband did not love her and they were newly married. She said, I'm out of this. I don't want. He's always making a face. Whenever I come into the room, he makes a face. I don't want this marriage. Call him. Okay. He also came. Pujya Swamiji asked, why do you make a face whenever she's around? And then he said, Swamiji, I'm not making any faces. I love her dearly. And then he made a face. And then she said, see, he's making a face. He doesn't care about me at all. See, this is what he does night and day. Well, they had just moved from one place to another. And it turned out that it was allergy season. And the fellow had terrible allergies. And was trying not to sneeze, anticipating a sneeze. Didn't know if the sneeze was coming. Did not know it would not come. He didn't know anything. He was just making this face. Because there was a tickling sensation in his nose and sinuses. Abba, thank God. This is what the whole life is. This one doesn't like me, that one has a problem with me, and then what? I don't like the other one. Why don't you like them? Well, because this is how they are. We make judgment centered on the I and then centered on the whole world. There is judgment. And that judgment, the basis for that judgment is called pratibhasikam. A subjective projection is the basis for this judgment. Ishvara projects this universe, Satyam Mithya, and not to be outdone, the Jiva says, I am also going to project. I am also going to project. The basis for Ishvara's projection is all knowledge. The raw material for Jiva's projection is ignorance and its very many broods. Kama, karma, raga, dvesha, this, that, all these things, judgments. That is the basis for the Jiva's projection. The raw material for the Jiva's projection is ignorance. Raw material for Ishvara's projection is Maya Shakti, all knowledge. All knowledge. So that's why the Jagat is full of laws that are infallible because it comes from all knowledge. Whereas one's own perception is eminently fallible because it arises out of the nidhi, the treasure, the capital, the original capital of self-ignorance. One's own private projections. The Jagat filtered through the head is called pratibhasikam. And that is why one gets the epithet Jiva, full of pet peeves. Better to call it Piva. Yes. So this is what it is. And so the orders of reality, mithya doesn't create problems for anyone except the human being. Think about it. Mithya doesn't create problems. But for the human beings, mithya creates problems because there is mithya within mithya that is looking at the mithya. One's own big arsenal of thoughts, beliefs, ideologies, convictions, which have their roots in one's own unconscious. And that is what is pointed out here. Savikalpa jivaha ayam. What is the definition of jiva? That which has vikalpas. Vikalpena saha vartate. Savikalpaha. That which exists along with vikalpas. Vikalpas means thoughts, experiences, divisions, differences. All these things. Any observation you have is a personal observation. Anything that you think about, all these thoughts, unless this kind of an abhyasa has been done, unless some space has been created within the psyche, within the inner infrastructure, antahkaranam, unless the space has been created, anything that one spouts off is a subjective perception. Oh, if you say like this, we'll be afraid to talk also. Good. Yeah. Very good. This is a text. That is why I said it is pandemic time appropriate text. It is to stop one in one's tracks, to mind what, not only what one is saying, but to mind what one is thinking. Because the thoughts are momentary. Impressions are momentary. Everything comes and goes and comes and goes. Agama, pai, keeps on coming, keeps on going here, there, everywhere. That's how it is. And so, savikalpaha jivaha. The jiva is marinating in the pratibhasika, dipped in its own sauces. Yes. Dipped in raga, dvesha, dipped in kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya. Oh, what are all these things? These are all various kinds of emotions that one can come under the grip of. Kama, unbridled, binding desires. Krodha, anger. And the Bhagavad Gita tells us that anger arises when? When the kama is suppressed. When you can't get your way, you get angry. Simple. Anger comes because a desire has been thwarted. And then, lobha. I want. But you already have. I would like some more. And more. And more. Moha, the cause of all these things. Delusion. Deluded with regard to priorities, deluded with regard to sadhana, practices, and means, deluded, of course, with regard to the goal, sadhya, that which needs to be pursued. Mada, hubris, pride. Me, I did this. Okay, big deal, you did this. But nobody is noticing, This is the thing. You did this, be happy. Pat yourself on the back. Give yourself a few compliments. Yay, way to go. Tell yourself all that. Very nice. But that's never enough, is it? After that, what? Nobody is looking. No one is appreciating. Why should anybody appreciate? No, we have to appreciate. Why? Because my self-image is like bone china. Why is it called bone china? Because like the bones, it is subject to osteoporosis. Okay? It cracks easily, it turns into powder. So, this is the problem. My self-image constantly needs to be embellished by other people's praises, appreciation, noticing, saying, wah, wah, you are the best, east or west. Who will you find who will say this all the time? This is sometimes why people get married. Yeah, never works. You know why it doesn't work? Because the other person also got married for the same reason. Hoping that you will keep them up. You will prop them up, they will prop you up. Doesn't work. Works for a little while. That's why it's called the honeymoon period. After that, gone. Full stop, period. That's all. And so therefore, this self-image, this is this is mada here. Self-image, whatever that perception of self-image, which constantly needs to be pumped up, like a bicycle tire. Always losing steam, losing air, wanting to be pumped up. I am doing this. And then, people tell me this. I have started something. Oh, I'll say. You don't approve? I have not even had the chance to open my mouth. I just said, oh, is that so? Oh, you don't approve. Why should I approve? Are you doing this because your heart and your passion is here, or because you feel guided by Bhagavan to do this and serve in this way, or are you doing this for somebody's approval? This is all the stuff of pratibhasikam. The ingredients that make up pratibhasikam are right here. And that is what leads everyone to this whole understanding of self-image and how dear it becomes. So the new definition of self-image is that which requires embellishment constantly is self-image. This is what self-image is. It has to be propped, it has to be buttressed, it has to be held up, and it is so delicate it will crack, it will shatter, it will turn into powder. This is all pratibhasika. The Jagat that filters, whose impressions are filtered through the head. That is why in a particular kind of a philosophy within Vedanta called Drishti Srishtivada, that was first propounded by one Swami Prakashananda, it posits that there is really no Srishti without, it being filtered through your vision or Drishti. Srishti means creation. What creation is there? Where is the creation? When you are asleep, there is no creation. When you are awake, suddenly there is a creation, but that creation is what? Is constantly being filtered through your head, edited, abridged, punctuated, added on to, deleted, subtracted, everything. There is a lot of pratibhasika activity happening. Very interesting, this Drishti Srishtivada. The Srishti, there is no Srishti other than what is in your Drishti. A kind of a radical statement, but has some very interesting possibilities. Because where is the Jagat recognized? It's not recognized out of the window. I may be staring out of the window and I see a tree. I see birds on the tree. I see a person walking by the tree. But where are all these things being recognized? Right here. This indeed is Jagataha Upalabdhisthanam. The place where the Jagat is cognized is in your dhi, buddhi. Is it possible to see things as they are? Yes. But when does that happen? How often does that happen? And what is as they are? How can you say for sure as they are? This is the stuff of Drishti Srishti Vada. Exciting as it is, the possibility of looking into this, we are safer with our three orders of reality model. Because the other one, this Drishti Srishti Vada, does away with the empirical reality completely. There is only Paramarthika, and then what else? Pratibhasika. Very interesting. There is nothing in between. Empirical reality, what empirical reality? Like this it is. And so, this model that we have, that which we teach in our tradition is safer because there is a common ground to stand on. And we know exactly what to reduce and eliminate. And what is it to eliminate? Not Ishvara Srishti, but Jiva Srishti in the form of this Pratibhasika. We discussed all these. Mada, pride, and then finally Matsarya, jealousy. Seeing someone else's progress makes another upset and sad. This is jealousy. Asuya, not being able to stand somebody else coming up in their life or gaining whatever they wanted in their life. This is what is seen as jealousy. So all these constitute the raw material for Pratibhasika. Where do these come from? Of course, they come from that same wellspring of the bubbling unconscious mind. We'll be talking more about the unconscious mind presently. So therefore, the definition of the jiva, according to this particular verse, Savikalpaha jivaha. Jiva is full of vikalpas, full of divisions like the ones we have talked about it. And what is Brahman? Of course, Jiva is Brahman. But what is this Brahman? What is the definition of Brahman? Nirvikalpakam Brahma. Brahma tat Brahma nirvikalpakam. No divisions, no form, no name. Oh, but you just said Brahman. Yes, it's just indicating that which one already is, so that one recognizes that. All these names are like that. Brahman, Atma, and in the Chandogya Upanishad, Bhuma. Suddenly there is a nomenclature change. Atma, Atma, Atma. Suddenly Bhuma. Why? So that one doesn't go to sleep in the class. Oh, I'm studying about Bhuma, not Atma. Atma puts me to sleep because been there, done that. One becomes kind of jaded, faded student. But Bhuma, oh, that's new. Okay, I think I should pay attention. Bhuma Vidya. Chit. Samvit in other places. Masculine, feminine, neuter, everything is in it. Brahman, neuter. Atma, masculine. So like this. Chitihi, feminine. Samvit, feminine. All these names, they are not names of that entity, which is you. This is a nameless, formless being, which is not outside of you, which is in fact the truth of you, which happens to be you. And these names are just indicators for that which really needs no indication. Why? Because it is self-shining eye. It is self-evident. Because it is self-evident, it doesn't need any indicators at all. So, Brahma tat nirvikalpakam. And what else? The next line, big change here, because the Mahavakya is being introduced and talked about. Aham Brahma iti vakyena saha ayam arthaha abhidhiyate. In the sentence Aham Brahma, where is the sentence Aham Brahma? Aham Brahmasmi. That's what we have to supply. Iti vakyena. What kind of vakya? Mahavakyena. Iti, in this Mahavakya, saha ayam. That Brahman is this I alone. Iti arthaha abhidhiyate. This is the meaning of the teaching, I am Brahman. So the jiva, which is mixed up with the cognitions, personal cognitions called pratibhasika, mired in its own personal reality, happens to be the cognition-free sentience Brahman. So one is the one that is mired in all kinds of personal perceptions, and Brahman is what? Shining the light on the perceptions and on the ignorance which is fueling the perceptions also. The Mundakopanishad illustrates this very nicely. Two birds sitting in the tree. Dva suparna sayuja sakhaya samanam vrikshe parishashvajate. They are embracing, they have shining wings. Suparnaha. Suparnau. Dvau suparnau. Two birds of shining wings sitting on the same tree. Embracing one another, they are the greatest of friends. Tayorekaha. Out of that one, what does it do? Pippalam swadu atti. Swadu pippalam atti. It goes in after some tasty berries. Where? Hanging from the tree, of course. It goes, hops here and there, eats one, tries one, too bitter, spits it out. Tries another one, oh, just right, yes, yum, more. Next one, sour, not ripe at all. Third one, pungent. Fourth one again, somewhat sweet, although a little bland. It keeps on going because it's addicted to the berries. The other one is also jumping around? No. And is also eating? No. Anashnan, without eating. Abhichakashiti. Abhichakashiti means just shines, just watches. Abhichakashi, chakasra deeptav, shines the light on everything that is going on. This is a very nice allegory of the birds in the tree. One is, of course, the jiva bird. And what is this jiva bird doing? The jiva bird is a karma phalaholic. Yeah. Addicted to karma phala. Yes. Nobody is addicted to karma. Karma is for the sake of karma phala. Therefore, one is a karma phalaholic. Totally addicted. This is week-long rehab, okay? Yeah. From all that. Detox. So this is the one bird is karma phalaholic, goes here, goes there. Wants the berries, becomes very, very dependent on the berries. Wants this, wants that. And then without the berries I cannot be happy. It is convinced. And the other bird is what? Ishvara, Brahman. Contented, appreciative, non-wanting, non-demanding, happy in itself, objective. Are there really two birds? No. Two birds, because of the vikalpa, are as though seen as two. There are not two birds. Pratibhasika is not to be counted. Because it is mithya within mithya. Mithya itself cannot be established. Do you think we can establish mithya within mithya? Never ever. So therefore, the Mundakopanishad continues. Samane vrikshe purusho nibagnaha anishaya shochati muhyamanaha. Anishaya shochati. Samane vrikshe. In the same tree. The tree is the kshetra. This universe is the tree. Purushaha, this sad jiva, nimagnaha. Nimagnaha means glub, glub, glub. Sinking. Sinking in this ocean of notions that one is not okay, that one wants this and without this one cannot live. This Purusha suffers, shochati, cries. Anishaya. Discarding this Ishata, discarding this Isha as itself, alienated from Ishvara, finding itself, thinking itself to be alone. This is another Pratibhasika, I am all alone. Even the Lord and the Goddess have abandoned me. This is all a problem. This is all a Pratibhasikam. So, Anishaya shochati. In the form of Anisha, a very rare usage of the third case, it's called Itham Bhute Tritiya, in the form of. So, in the form of no Isha, meaning in the form of the sad jiva, alienated from the whole, alienated from its source, constantly searching for this other bird, which is really the truth of itself. Shochati muhyamanaha. When can it become Vita Shokaha? When can it get past its sorrow? If it turns around, if it makes a U-turn and looks at itself through the vision, through the goggles of the Shastra, it can be lightened of the burden, if not enlightened. It can be lightened of the burden of thinking that it is addicted to karma phala and it has to keep producing action, results of action, action, results of action, action, results of action. That is enough to give a sinking feeling to anyone. And this is this same jiva is what? Nirvikalpakam Brahma. And in this maze of activity, in this maze of addictions, in this maze of alienation, all these, in these maze of all false notions about the self, about the Jagat, about Ishvara, mired in it, even though Ishvara is right there, one keeps singing sad songs. That's why it's called sad sang. One came, one sat, and one sang, and one went away. Lonely, sad songs. Darshan kab doge. Luka chipi mat khelo. Don't play hide and seek with me. I have been tormented enough. We have to really, admire the Lord And for Naivedya, you have to offer a cough drop. Because, Bhagavan has become sore. I'm right here. I'm you. Look. Look through the eyes of the Upanishad. Look through the eyes of the Laghu-Vakya-Vrtti. Look through the eyes of the Bhagavad Gita. I am you. And Bhagavan has laryngitis due to overuse of the vocal cords. That's why Bhagavan has become quiet. So, this is what has to be understood. This is what is the repeated message of the Upanishads. That the one appears as two because one is drunk. Really. Drunk with notions of alienated and sad and bad and mad and all these things. Drunk with the addiction of karma phala, that fallen into that loop. Same thing in the Kathopanishad. It starts with two. Ritam pibantau sukrutasya loke guham pravishtav parame parardhe chhaya tapau brahmavido vadanti. Ritam pibantau. Pibantau, dual. Two are drinking. Oh, what are they drinking? Guham pravishtav. After having entered a cave, in a cavern, maybe a tavern, two are drinking. Oh, they are drinking. What are they drinking? Karma cocktail. Papa Punya nicely mixed up by Chitragupta and given. Yeah. You take one sip, it is, very nice. Accidentally some good karma came up, Good karma phala came up. And then another sip, oh, this is wretched. This tastes rotten, I'm going to spit it out. Next sip, oh, this is all right, not too bad. Another sip, horrid, so bitter. Two appear to be drinking. Who? Jiva and Brahman, which is shining the light on the Jiva, but really speaking, Brahman is not drinking at all. But because of what we call sahavasa dosha, is trapped. Because if there is some kind of if somebody is trying to catch some people, and if one person is drinking, they assume the other person also has been drinking. So this is what it is. Guha is the buddhi. Right here in the buddhi, which is the factory of pratibhasika. That's nice. Pratibhasika factory. Dhi made, okay? Made right here in the buddhi, where all the notions are being churned out constantly, each one more frightening than the other. In this pratibhasika factory, where all things are constantly being made, this is where these two are there. Two, really speaking, one. Why is it then two? Chhaya tapau. One is the real one, the other is a mere shadow. Brahma vidaha vadanti. Those that know Brahman immediately say, this is a case of shadow play. Which is the shadow? The one that is drinking and upset and tired is the shadow. The one that is casting this shadow by shining the light on this shadow is Brahman, you. So this kind of a so-called dual experience is mithya, is not ultimately real. It appears real because it is buttressed by the foundations of this pratibhasika, this personal reality of notions and all these things. It is not real. And therefore we can say, savikalpaka jivaha, even though the jiva he has vikalpas, divisions, notions, fears, tears, all these things, it is, this jiva is Brahman alone. What kind of Brahman? Nirvikalpam. Nirvikalpam Brahma. And this is what the Laghu-Vakya-Vrtti says is being taught in the statement Aham Brahmasmi. Aham Brahmasmi. This is what is being taught repeatedly, overriding the pratibhasika, falsifying again and again, punaha, again and again the pratibhasika. Falsifying means what? Seeing it as a perception. That's all it means, falsifying. Oh, this person does look suspicious. And then you say, and yes, that is a perception. And then you can ask yourself, what is it that looks suspicious? Is it the person that looks suspicious, or is it the thought that looks suspicious? Is it the perception that looks suspicious, or is it the person that looks suspicious? So many judgments are there like this, one on top of the other. Sometimes you don't even know that they are there, but they are there. And each one is looked into, each one you put a full stop after, each one you understand as an interloper. Each one you understand is an uninvited guest. An uninvited guest is a pest, okay? Yeah. This is not the time to say Atithi Devo Bhava, no, and enshrine those notions. Yeah. A little bit of pest control. That is what is needed. These pesky thoughts that keep coming and interfering with the peace of mind all the time. They have to be taken care of. This is what is some housekeeping needed. When this is being done, there is room. There is room for Aham Brahmasmi to be understood. Once I was waiting at the gate in between, what is that called? Two planes, connection. I was waiting for my connection, and then there was a TV there and I was just watching it. Very interesting show they showed, where these people, they have so many things in their house, so many things. There is no place for themselves. Hoarders. Yeah, that's the one. And I forgot the name of that, Hoarders. So many things. The baby had been missing for 12 hours. Small baby. They didn't know where it was. It had crawled underneath some boxes. 8-9-month-old baby. They found it, of course, but still, it had been missing. They could hear it cry, but they couldn't get to it. And then finally, this TV crew comes, and I didn't see the whole thing. It was so interesting. I almost missed the connection, even though they were. Even though I'm sitting right there, the plane came and they are boarding group by group. And then finally the gate agent said, "Aren't you getting on?" I said, yes, I'm getting on. That's when I got on the flight. Because it was so interesting. From the standpoint of Vedanta, I was looking at it. It was just fascinating. So fascinating. And so these, what did you call them? Hoarding people. Hoarders. These hoarding people, all these, they had so many things and many, many ailments. One of them liked to shop, the other one, liked to do something else. Anyhow, they liked to collect some old things. One of them liked to collect new things. And then they had so many things. And when the TV crew came, they had to just, remove so many things even to go inside the house. Then they found the cat, which they didn't know where it was. And then they found the baby. They found so many things like this. Baby had already been found, but they said, we had a scare. The baby was missing for so many hours. And like this, Then they were told, you just, they had all these things. What do you want to take with you? And they had huge suitcases, everything. No, you get to take one little carry-on bag and you're going to the hotel to sort it out to see what you want to keep. You can't keep everything. You just have to choose. And they cried and cajoled. They said, we cannot live without this. They said all kinds of things. No, you are going just like this. These are the conditions. And then the Salvation Army trucks came, one after the other. And these people didn't even see what was in the boxes. They just loaded them. And then you could see that this was actually a very beautiful house, a very nice house. It was vacuumed, it was given a coat of paint, it was, things were arranged, they got some basic furniture. It was all about the TV, promotion. They got a little whatever. And then, this took 2 days, but only 10 minutes on the show. And then after that, the family, was brought in blindfolded. And then, the blindfold was taken off when they were in the living room. It must be somebody else's house. They couldn't recognize it was their house. And then they had to sign a waiver that they were going to keep it just like this. And any time there could be a surprise inspection within the next year. So they could not mess it up. And this is exactly, we are having so much fun at their expense, poor things. But this is exactly how the head is. Hoarders. Yes. This is what it is. All kinds of pratibhasika, thoughts, fears, notions, convictions about oneself and about one's inabilities, convictions about others and their abilities or lack thereof, limitations, tears, chronic self-sabotaging statements and self-sabotaging, which lead to self-sabotaging behaviors. All this is there in the antahkarana. Where is the space for Bhagavan? Tell me. Where is the space for Ishvara? Where will Brahman sit? Brahman is everywhere, shining the light on the hoarding of all these notions and emotions. This is what is samsara. Samsara is equal to pratibhasika. When the space is cleared, and that is why the meditation and observing the space between the thoughts, elongating the space between the thoughts. The ability to just be with the thoughts and also be without the thoughts and know oneself and get oneself comfortable in both those situations becomes an important practice to recognize oneself as nirvikalpakam Brahma. And this is the teaching, Aham Brahmasmi. How more we will see in the next class. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadagya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.